where's your morality or where is your emotional IQ? So I think that's what we're encountering right now, is someone that is always I call it you get your hand caught in a cookie jar, right? You get caught in the middle of your thing, and it's like, well, we've got this person that's passing the blame. And one of the things I learned from my second husband is he got out of school and he was going home and he wasn't paying attention, and he ran through a stop sign, a light, a red light, full blaring red light, not even yellow to red, and the cop stopped him, and he just basically said to the cop, "I'm sorry, I screwed up. I wasn't paying attention. School just got out, and I was excited, and I wasn't paying attention." And when you're just honest, you fess up. The cop said, "That's okay, son. I'll let you go. Just don't do it again." So there's something to be said about saying, "Yeah, I'm sorry. I screwed up. I did." What the issue now is racism. Yeah, I said something I shouldn't have said. I've done something I shouldn't have done. I'm insensitive. Fessing up, admitting it, and I'm going to do better. I'm going to figure this out. What I've done all my life is, one of the things I did was I lied all my life. I was my default. So why am I lying? Well, when I went through therapy, my life wasn't safe. So I learned to be the world's best liar. And when I went through therapy with my husband, we had gone to California. We did a week intensive, and we kept talking about it all the way home. By the time I was in the airport waiting for my luggage, I was just going, "Oh, I'm such a liar. I'm such a horrible person. Why am I even alive? Why would anybody ever like me?" So there's something about getting down to your core and understanding yourself, and then loving yourself and giving yourself empathy and compassion. And then I'll finish with this. So Howard Stone, I'm going to try to find it. He got on one of the talk shows. He says, I love Trump. He's my friend. And he said, but I decided that I wanted to have a relationship with my daughters. So I went through intensive therapy, and I went, because he's always been kind of rough around the edges, right? And he said, now, I did my family of origin, cultural conditioning, religious programming, and I deprogrammed myself and reprogrammed myself to be a nice human being. And he said, Donald, if you just did this process, you could really have a real authentic relationship with all your children and your wives and everything. And so he implored him to do that. Of course, he didn't do it. But I'm going to pass the talking stick to Karen. Next.
Well, that's interesting. I agree. I, too, have been in therapy since I was 14. And I've been through a lot. And then I went to training in Canada for 3 months on family of origin. And then I've worked on myself always. And I've learned that it's good to say you're sorry for something we mess up, because it makes ourselves feel good, and it makes nobody's perfect. We all have issues. And I think it's good that we own our stuff, and I think it makes us feel better, and it makes whoever that we've hurt to feel better too. My husband has worked on himself tremendously. Also, the second time around, we had 10 years together from 66 to 76, and then we were separated for 22 years and got back in 2000. And he worked and worked and worked and did tremendous work with his issues too. And we worked it from an emotional point and also from a karmic point, because we knew that neither one of us wanted to keep all this stuff or take it with us when we left this play. And I've had a lot, when Dr. Bormy and I had the office or the clinic, I specialized and did this family of origin stuff with the encounter bats and the primal scream and all this back in the day. And it was really hard on my immune system because I'm an empath. And so I had to really retire from it about 5 or 6 years ago. But it still people still keep coming to me, and, I can see, and, they'll ask me, and I said, there's a better way to do it. You don't have to do this hard physical therapy anymore. We've all come with issues. We've all come with our caregivers that got us in, whether it's our mother and father biologically or a caregiver, whomever. And so we're here with glitches, and we're here to clean that out, and we're here to make peace and work on ourselves. And so, but that's what I've done for years. But with that, when we had the clinic, that's all I did. And it was hard. So I have learned, I guess about 2 years ago, I was given a gift from the universe that we don't have to do this deep work and, you know, whether we're the victim or we're the perpetrator or all that, you know, and go through processing the mother and the father script or taking a dozen eggs and throwing them at a tree or whatever we do to get that anger out, is that to look at the higher part. And I always tell my students that, you know, the emotions are the key to the higher consciousness, to the love. The love is the key. And in order to get to experience that love, animals are great teachers. They're great healers. They're angels. I think they're angels. And that's really important for to me, for the human interaction with animals. We're animals too. And so I think that we're going through a lot right now, but I feel like there are a lot of people that I have seen in office, or a couple of them, that really get into the feeling aspect of it. I'm kind of surprised. I'm not going to call any names or name anybody, but it's interesting how that works. It's very important for people to get into more of a feeling mode, be more empathic instead of apathetic, and that means getting into the heart chakra and getting more out of the head chakra, or the crown chakra, the left brain. It's important. I mean, the whole brain is the key. But I think all these things that are happening now are awakening intense feelings. It gives us the opportunity to go into those real intense feelings. And sometimes I'll stay up all night long and just feel, and information will come to me. It's not real healthy to do that, but sometimes I do my best channeling in the middle of the night, or the best receiving, the best downloading, whatever. And I take it that I'm in a lesson from the higher teachers, and I listen. I feel like I've been through college studies again, where you study all the way through the night to pass the test the next day. But I think that's important where we are, and I wish that for everybody, because we all came from mothers, fathers, grandmothers who had issues. We've got our own issues, and it's going to be saved through love and through allowing the self to go into those emotional areas and feel. The only thing I am aware of that I think creates a thicker block of density on the earth plane is rage and anger. Now, I always tell my students, my patients, to turn that anger into sad, because that's really what you're doing. You're sad. You're not mad. And mad you may be feeling, but you're really hurt. You're really sad. You're scared. And those can be real good things, like jumping over the diving board. Those are real good motivators. Is sad and in pain. You know, communications, human communications, emotionally at this time am I up?
Yes, you're up. Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Nope, TJ.
All right, Soul Solution, folks. You know, this, I'm going to tell you something.
Wait a minute, you're fading out.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Try that again.
Okay. I'm cutting out, huh?
Okay,
Am I
now
still
you're
cutting
good.
out?
Now you're good.
Okay.
You're good now.
Okay. At my age, folks, most of y'all probably were not educated. I mean, with emotional intelligence, okay, because I still see it in, I'm quick to jump myself because it's an emotion. Now, I am born and lived and died twice, and then the third time, but that's up for, I know I did first time when they took the blood out, second time when I had placenta previa and hemorrhaged with my fourth daughter. But I didn't really learn till I came back and decided to be much more intelligent, because I had all this knowledge out of the Akashic field that came rushing into my human. So I realized you don't learn everything in school, but you don't have to die and be up there in space or go through the cosmos to get it. I just was lucky because I could. These women in my college, when I went to learn about this college, how to communicate with humans, it was all about Maslow's theory. But I'll give you a quick rundown, which I'm still learning. We're all students. We're all teachers. We can all help each other. But I've been watching some of my children get beat up by bullies because they don't have control of their educational limits, or they don't think before they react. So one thing I would like to do is have a movement of my friends, if they're going to call themselves my friends, because I believe the greatest recipe in life is your friendship, how to communicate, having emotions with others. And sometimes I jump because my mind starts racing, and I'm so excited that I want to express myself, and I see that as a human trait. But especially since I'm always alone, I now educate myself every day. I do my meditation on my inner work and my awareness. But one thing I always had was deep, deep empathy. And my father and mother and the black lady that raised me, they all had deep empathy. And they cared about each other, and they had self-awareness. And my mother sometimes would react on her anger. My father, I never saw him act out, not once. Never saw my father upset. And that seems funny. I'd be 68 and go back and listen to myself. I wanted to judge my daddy because I was angry at him because him and mom got a divorce. But I had to live through that. But it wasn't until I came back from death and I learned and went to college and law enforcement, and I had to take childhood development and learn about psychology. And that led me down a lot of reading on psychology. But I didn't, there's a history behind the growth in the 30s, social intelligence, that was Edward Thorndike, and then later developments. But I learned about Abraham Maslow. And I'll never forget Maslow's theory, in food, clothing, shelter, we got to have that. But there's multiple intelligences, not just on this planet. But that concept is so different that I call it ascension age. And I believe that the emergence of the emotional intelligence that came up, I was in Mensa meeting, and that's where I met Wayne Dyer at a house in Hawaii. And that was back in 89 to 94 when I was in the military, but I was in Hawaii. But it wasn't until the 90s that emotional intelligence came up in cognition and personality. As we were in the motivational speaking movement, Wayne Dyer, and I met him because I followed him. Somehow God just had me find him. I don't know what else you call it, your higher power if you want. But like I said, I'm a theocrat. I believe in theology and the study of those higher power over us because I've seen them. I hadn't touched them. I didn't get close enough to touch them, but I sure was next to them on the ships and off ships, and my Jesus was on a spaceship. But it's a symbolic term for your Christ. There's been many of them. But the concept of intelligence is coming up, but it wasn't really big until 95. And then when I went to college again in 97, I went in the 70s is when I learned about Abraham Maslow, and then I went through the motivational speaking movement. Deepak Chopra, I met him in person, so I did get to touch him and shake his hand. But he thought I wanted an autograph, but he wound up realizing and making me his equal. He may not remember that, but probably if he was in my person, human form, and me and touched again. But we did meet at a bookstore, and we got to talk because he was early and I was early, and nobody was there. It was just me and Deepak Chopra. Now, when Wayne Dyer, they left me out on the porch with him. But I listened to all his tapes, and I got to get his people synergistically involved. I got to meet Janet Kira Lessin, the girl you've been listening to in the beginning. And I'm looking forward to meeting Karen someday, probably at an event we have. I hope to meet at least once a year, folks. So emotional intelligence,
okay.
Try to learn about
There's
that.
Your time.
Okay, thank you.
Your time's up.
All
okay,
right.
I'm Karen.
No, you.
Oh,
Karen.
no, it's you.
No, is it my turn? I got confused. Okay, what do I want to talk about? Oh, goodness. Yeah, well, Yes, psychology really has saved my life.